I'm Jennifer with a G, and I'm a queer artist living at QTV, which stands for Queers Doing Obscene Beautiful Art. We are an art colony of queers and only queers, where we make queer art for queers, by queers, to queers.
I'm Peggy. I live at Qdoba, and I make art about lesbians. I'm really interested in this concept of post-lesbianism. Kind of like post-structuralism, but like lesbians.
This is a queer sculpture that I made a while back, and I was really trying to think of the indexical moment when queerness interjects on the discourse of the heteronormative industrial complex. And I was really trying to create something that kind of counteracted that, and very post-Cartesian but also pre-Kantian ideologies.
I'm not really sure about our third roommate, Gillian's art. I just don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
What the fuck is she even doing? It's not art. Like, what kind of person just, like, it's not even queer. I don't really understand Gillian's art, and I really think that they should take a good long look at what they're doing and maybe think about how it could be more queer, because right now I'm just really unsure about what they're doing. Peggy, get in here!
When I saw Gillian's egg piece, I'm just blown away. I was blown away.
I mean, the eggs are so Duchampian and so genius, and I just cannot believe this is even Gillian's art. I mean, it's so fantastic. We have to call MoMA. We have to call Tate Modern. I mean, this is like the essence of queerness.
Quien iba a ser su suegra dice que el joven estaba muy ansioso, estaba triste, y que no sabía si quería vivir, pero su cuate se iba a hacer. Un hombre con el teléfono celular semana pasada descubrió que una cafetería en San Francisco terminó golpeado por 6 jóvenes de una policía. La víctima de 56 años estaba en el local ubicado en las calles Cuarta y Misión cuando un muchacho de 16 años le robó el teléfono. Adelante se encontró con el grupo de... Durante el día de hoy en Oakland, millones de dólares continuaron sin ser movilizados y sin saber cuál será su próximo destino. Un trato con sus empleadores fueran suspendidas, los trabajadores, y así evitar que la situación empeore. Solo unos cuantos que les representan tener a sus empleados trabajando fines de semana. Dicen que toda la mercancía acumulada, disminuir las horas que ellos trabajan cada semana, que los empleados por alguna razón, quizá con intención, han ido diciendo que las reuniones se debe a una táctica de los empleadores para no darles los beneficios en ese contrato, beneficios que ellos han pedido durante meses. Los cibernéticos se han convertido en una verdadera amenaza para el gobierno y también para las empresas estadounidenses. Es por eso que esta tarde el presidente va a hablar de una cumbre con expertos del tema y tratar de buscar formas de protección. Saldrá de muy encendido desde el aeropuerto de San Francisco. Es apenas unos momentos, a las 5 de la tarde con 25 minutos, aterrizó en el aeropuerto internacional de San Francisco el avión presidencial Air Force One, donde por supuesto viajaba el presidente Barack Obama.
Ay, qué lindo, a mí me hubiera gustado ver
aeropuerto en una limusina. Pero bueno, ¿qué es lo que está haciendo aquí en el área de la bahía? Fíjense que él viene a participar en un evento, una serie de conferencias sobre seguridad cibernética que se va a realizar en la Universidad de Stanford. ¿Por qué hablan de este tema? Bueno, pues porque es algo... Aparentemente él buscaba una confrontación con el partido, una resistencia armado con un cuchillo. Fue él quien llamó a ese departamento. Y en iba a decir que agradece que esta vez estaba muy ansioso, estaba triste y
My pronouns are Z here, spelled ZIE/HIR. These laws are, 1, unconstitutional, 2, reacting to a law made in 2006 which already guaranteed the right of transgender people to pee in peace. Also, workplace protections, housing protections, other sort of basic civil rights, as transgender people face an extraordinary amount of assault in public restrooms, and it's really up to the transgender person to decide which they will feel safe in, which they won't get sexually assaulted in, beaten up, killed. It didn't solve the issue of transgender people getting assaulted in public restrooms, but it did a whole lot. These bills would roll back those guarantees. It would make it even worse for trans people because the police would come in and a lot of times they'll arrest trans people for just existing as trans. I'm here today because I am transgender, as you can see, and I'm against my rights being assaulted. I want to transition one day, and I want to do that safely and be safe, because I'm a human. But a little more politically importantly, the bills were defeated in the state Senate and the state House. But there is an initiative that's going to be filed. It might go to the ballot, and we might lose that. We've already lost that in Houston and other places around the country with their transphobic slogans. So having a good show of force around here is really good to show that we mean business. We're going to fight for our rights. Yeah.
My name is Masa, as I've said a couple times. I'm still Masa. I am Japanese, a 27-year-long resident in Washington State, a co-director at Stonewall Youth, an artist, a son, and a trans man. As I stand here remembering what brought me to this place today, I reflect on the trials that we have all faced, the hatred that paralyzes us sometimes, and the strength that we can draw from it. The first time that I thought about dying, I was 7 years old. And I didn't understand why. I just thought it has to be better. I wish I could go back in time and tell that kid that I love them and thank them for being so strong for me, because they were right. Nothing changes until we acknowledge that it has to be better. It is hard to comprehend, after such momentum, that we would have to go back to square one and refight a battle we are already continually fighting. There's been so much disturbing talk about survivors and how it would affect them to see us in their facilities. I can't and don't want to imagine the traumatic experience it would be for them if I was forced to use women's facilities because of my parts. I can't and don't want to imagine the traumatic experience it would be for my transgender sisters, who already exponentially face a higher amount of sexual assault, for them to be forced to use the men's facilities. When they reduce us to our parts, this is what they're telling us, and this is what they're asking. We are not a disguise, not a fleeting feeling that changes daily. We live as our true and honest selves every day. I deserve the right to public access, just as my non-transgender community does. just as my fellow transgender men do, as my sisters do, my transgender sisters do, just as our transgender children do. This is the first time in the short time that I have recognized that I am transgender, that I have had to fight so visibly for my right to exist. It's terrifying to be told at every corner that you are not worthy to use the same public facilities that your fellow citizens do. This fear and hatred can be so paralyzing, but I would urge us all to take strength from each other, especially for those of us that are most vulnerable to everything being thrown at us. All of us need to remember that we are real and we are loved. I love you. We are not alone. We will always be here, and we will get
But, yeah, I don't know. Truth is, I haven't fucking read enough queer theory, and, like...
But do you need to?
No. Or when do I have the most fun when I'm performing? Oh, like when I'm alone in my room, and I'm, like, just, like, spouting off about shit. And, like, don't feel the need to, like, have everything be, like, true. Performance is, like, a mode of communication and being and, like, navigating the world. There's a turning away from heteronormative, cis, white performativity. And there's a turning away from performing that. Mm-hmm. And so then it's oftentimes, okay, so what am I turning towards? Perform something that was theoretically not myself. Mm-hmm. And how to, and a lot of my training was in how to do that in the body. Hours preparing for class, just thinking about how to, like, hold my hand, how to move my hand like a character, how to move my hand like this person, how to walk like this person. I didn't have the tools to really question so much of the things that I took, like, for granted. Mm-hmm. As a part of myself, or as a part of, like, my performance as myself. It's like there's a process of, like, stripping away those things that, like, we were, like, socialized and are continually socialized to, like, think about ourselves and our bodies. Yeah. Unpack gender. Unpack how I feel sucking a dick. You know what I mean? Like, unpack how, like, why certain feelings come up when I'm, like, naked with someone. You know what I mean? Unpack. And then, but, so there's that. There's, like, sex, right? But that's not all of it, right? So there's unpack, like, how I feel when I, like, wear a short skirt. I was able to channel and express things that I needed to express, but under the pretense of performance. Performance to me feels like the word performance provides space, it provides freedom, it provides, like, breathing room. If it's a performance, if you acknowledge that it's a performance, then you get to fuck with it, and, like, play with it. And you get to, if you acknowledge something as a performance, you're reminded that nothing you say is true, nor is it false, and you can change your mind anytime you want. Thinking about gender as a performance is freeing in that way. And thinking about how gender is written all over my body because of heteronormative fucking society, like, and how to unwrite that, or how to rewrite it, or how people read me is like, that's like a social thing. And then there's how I feel in my body. The process of fucking unpacking your queer identity just begs of validation. It begs of help.
Yeah.
Identity is, like, invalidated in queer spaces. Do I have to come out to all the queer people in my life too? I think it's also painful just because, like, so much of it has to do with intimacy and, like, love.
I'm starting to feel like learning how to perform myself in a way that feels like good is like so much a part of learning how to like love myself and like love other people. And those are like the things.
I think it's funny how surprised I was when you brought up intimacy and love.
Really?
And sex. Yeah. I think that's really funny.
Why do you think you were surprised?
When I was like, I think like maybe like 9 or something, I had this like huge crush on my camp counselor at Rock and Roll Camp for Girls. Yeah. And I didn't really know that it was a crush. Oh. It was like one of those like things that was like my sexual awakening in retrospect. And like I always was staring at her boobs, but I was like, why am I staring at her boobs? That's weird. And now I know 'cause I was really attracted to her. Wow. She was really cool. She made me feel very frustrated all the time, and I don't know why.
I also feel like it's weird because since I moved to Olympia, I like dated a lot of dudes because it's way easier. Because like a lot of people just assume I'm straight, or like dudes just hit on you all the time. So like you don't have to try. Yeah. I'm just like.
Being in Olympia and queer is like really hard, especially if you're someone who like isn't like a dominant person and doesn't like pursue people. Yeah. Like I have to be pursued, and I like have never had like sex with someone who is not a male because of that. And I've like tried what I think is like pursuing someone, but it's always just perceived as like the straight girl complimenting you on your eyebrows. And I'm like, no, but I really like your eyebrows. I like
no, I want to lick your eyebrows.
I'm gonna make your eyebrows feel great.
Your eyebrows like make me horny. Or even if like how people like also it's like another thing that's like I would like feel like I like say that I'm queer, but people like assume that I'm straight because I'm not always like making a big deal about it because I feel like that's like not a thing. Like I never like have really like come out to anyone unless it's like an explicit thing where like, oh, but you're straight, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Which I don't feel like it's coming out. It's just like a like correction.
Yeah. Recently, like this shit has been so unfamiliar for me just because I'm dating someone who like has a pussy. And like I have a dick and like it's going really well, but I like kind of forget sometimes that people think that I'm straight, that like we come off as straight, which is like really not the case. Like literally within the first like couple days of Ab and I like getting together, they like fucked me up the ass while like we watched Minions.
Like I like try to have like queer sex with like I usually end up straight like sleeping. I've slept with like 3 people ever, and they've all been like straight boys, and I try to have queer sex by like I don't know, like it's like not like I don't just like I'm not waiting for you to come the whole time.
Yeah,
like,
no.
You don't even have to come. Neither of us have to come. Like you don't have to use like your genitals if you don't want to.
Yeah, no.
Like it's like I don't know. It's not like I feel like straight sex is like a like very like hard bordered thing, and like queer sex is like whatever, like this is sex. Does this feel like sex? It's sex, like, sure.
What even is that you're like does this feel good? What is sex?
Right,
what even is sex?
Right.
Are we having sex? Like what even constitutes sex?
Right, like no matter what type of sex you're having, I feel like the bottom line is like whether it's queer sex or straight sex, which is like boring sex to me. Like I'm like, oh, like you're engaging in like heteronormative sexual activity, like ugh, how boring. Like it's my shit to work out, and I own that.
McCoy's best place to cruise anybody. Literally,
I don't know. Trade for so much trade at McCoy.
There's a lot of but like metal trade.
Oh yeah, give me some metal trade.
Yeah, metal trade at McCoy's. You can never. I mean, you could probably cruise someone at Jake's, but like.
Why?
But that's
Jake's
like engaged.
Is a straight bar.
Drake's is a straight
Jake's
bar.
Is a straight
it's like
bar.
straighter than any bar in Olympia.
When we were hanging with her friends, she called it fakes.
Yeah,
that was my favorite fucking thing I've ever heard.
Me, as somebody who like really loves to worship a cock, I feel like what tops don't realize in the Northwest is the fact that, like, yes, they have it right in the fact that I want to make their dick feel good, and I would ideally like to get them off, even though it's not about getting them off.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is the fact that, like, I view being, like, a bottom, especially with, like, oral sex, as, like, being the epitome of power, because you're, like, putting someone in your throat, like, you're making them feel good. And, like, you have the ability to tell them when and when they cannot be there. Everyone here just smells like their own armpits. And
Yeah.
You're just, like, straight up.
It's really funny. It's
patchouli is still a smell.
Yeah, patchouli is still a smell. Also, axe is still a smell. Everyone acts as if, like...